What is going on, everybody? Today we got another fun one. So I'm going to put Matt to the test here. I just chat GPT the top 5 most popular fat loss tools from 2025, right? So far. And this blends just a wide range, both it says digital and physical resources. So it could be like some sort of like website or app. It could be like equipment, different things like that. So let's see if you can guess the top 5 and then we'll talk about them.
Okay, so one that comes to mind would be trying to think what's really popular right now. Some sort of tracker for like steps. I don't know if it's food or an Apple Watch. I mean, your phone or an Apple Watch or a Fitbit. It's got to be something like that, right?
Yes, sir. So that's number 2. We got Apple Watch, Fitbit, Whoop, just any wearable to track,
Okay.
heart
Okay.
rate, steps, calories burned, stuff like that.
Which do you use anything like that? Do you use you have an Apple Watch or anything? I know you don't have it on right now, but do
I
you have
used to.
one?
So I used to use Whoop. I used that for like a year and a half. It was great. I had nothing, maybe even longer than a year and a half. Helped me track my sleep. I thought that was fantastic. If we put in measurements to stuff, it helps. I just found for me, and I also went at a certain point, I used like a Garmin not too
Hmm.
long ago. And I just like I start to those numbers start to like stress me out more. I think that
Yeah.
for me it starts to be like, oh, I need to hit this goal, and it becomes just overpowering for me. So I just don't do that anymore. I track my steps kind of. I mostly just I'll just try to go on like a walk every day, right? And I try to make it like a minimum of 30 minutes of walking. Generally, I end up with like at least 8,000 steps by the end of the day, but I'm not like, I don't really look at that too much. I more or less just try to like get a walk in every day. That's kind of my
Okay.
focus when it comes to that. I don't track my sleep anymore, probably would benefit from it. But it's just when I start to track that stuff, it becomes more of like a stressor for me personally. Not to say
Yeah.
it's not a great tool for other people to use.
Well, you're somebody who also has the repetitions, the volume underneath your belt. You've developed the skills, so you can afford to do more of an intuitive approach and still get results, still live a healthy lifestyle, still have a body that people would be like, holy shit, right? Whereas somebody else, like we've talked about it before, it's like, how thick is the trunk of your tree if we're talking about a tree aspect of it? Like, how many layers do you have of that tree? Are you a little baby tree with like, you're essentially a twig? Are you a redwood tree? Because that's how many experiences you have. And so every chop that you're taking from the axe, like how much damage does it do? And so for somebody like you, you're swinging an axe at it every time. You're not, let's call it quote unquote perfect, that axe is being swung, but you're a redwood tree, right? Somebody else who's just starting out on their journey, it's like they can't really afford to do that. They might, their accuracy might have to be a little bit higher, right? Or and it doesn't have to be to like a crazy degree, but there's always like differences between people and skill levels. So when you can do that and somebody's like, well, shit, I can't do that. I have to really be conscious of my steps because when I don't pay attention to it, I gain 5, 10, 15 pounds. It's like, yeah, well, you're at a different stage in your journey too, right? You got a different body, you got different things going on. So yeah. Okay, cool. Wearables is one. All right, that's number two.
Me
But
too, yeah.
wearables, okay, categories. And we're doing top five.
Top 5.
I think the other thing that comes to mind would be like, I don't know, like Peloton super popular. Is Peloton one of them on there? Bike, like stationary bike?
No, no.
No? Huh. Let's see.
But there's one that's like on the same level as that.
Okay, so it's more equipment. Like treadmill, like walking pad or treadmill.
I'll give it to you here. So it's like it's kind of you kind of hit it like it's resistance training equipment, like home or
Oh,
gym, right? So
okay, cool.
that's the most popular. So it is kind of along those lines, right? You could consider that around the same thing. This is I don't know if we need to dive too much into this. We talk about this all the time. Like obviously
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a huge thing, right? It's like
yeah,
you're
yeah,
like working out in some capacity, whatever you can stick to, right? It's like if
yeah.
you can stick to the bike, if you can stick to walking, you can stick to resistance training. Now we obviously you're running, whatever it is. We obviously think that you should have, if you can, resistance training in there in some capacity, whether that's body weight or bands or or dumbbells or barbell, whatever it is, machines. Definitely going to help you to either build muscle or also maintain muscle if you're in fat loss. So definitely a helping hand there. Do you have any other just 2 cents on that one?
No, I think it is on there for a reason, and it's because a lot of people also have this fear of going to the gym too. So if you can, like, if resistance training doesn't it doesn't have to require you going physically to a gym. That's why I think a lot of the home equipment stuff, home gym stuff is an awesome choice. It's what all my clients use. It's because, with the exception of maybe one or two people go to like a public gym, most of them just have a set of dumbbells or resistance bands, or they do body weight, like how you said. And you can get a lot done. You can completely change your life just by using those pieces of equipment right there. And just staying consistent. You don't even have to go to the gym. So yeah, I agree with that 100%. So we got home gym or resistance training. What number was that?
Those four. So we got
That was
2 is
4.
wearables, 4
Okay.
is resistance training equipment, or really just equipment in general.
Okay. And it's the most popular things in 2025. Let's see.
Yeah.
Give me a hint. Give me a hint.
Okay, so this one of them is like one of the biggest things out there right now. It's not, digital. It's something that is like the biggest fad, biggest talked about thing,
Oh,
right?
Ozempic.
Yep.
Like,
There you go. So
yeah. Yeah.
GLP-1, which
GLP-1s. Yeah.
Ozempic. So it is obviously one of the biggest things out there. And I've seen stuff like more things that come out on like some sort of like micro dosing effect of it, or I know we talked about that once where the lady on uh, what was the Mind Pump had talked
Yep.
about like that they're showing that there's really good effects to doing it in very small doses. I think the
Mhm.
problem that I see is that people use that without changing their habits, right? So it's like
Mm.
anything that we talk about, it's like it's a medication that it probably can be used as a tool, right? And if you need that to kind of like jumpstart a little bit, but when you start to rely on things and you don't actually change your habits, that's when things become difficult to actually stick to, right? And we hope that whatever you do, that you're able to like stick with the results. But why with Ozempic and all of these other like things that are a little bit more drastic, you see people put the weight back on is because they never actually changed their habits. They never actually made walking a habit and working out a habit and eating healthy. It was more or less, we took this thing, it suppressed my appetite, so I ate less and I lost this weight,
Mm.
right? So now when I like lose the weight and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go eat how I eat before, your body's adapted. Now you're going to go back and you're going to put on that weight very quickly because you're going to go back to your lifestyle before. You never really changed it, right? It was just
Yeah.
not hungry anymore.
Yeah. And we've talked about that before too. We can reference that pod. We've talked about our opinions on it. This was kind of early on too, before there was like more data and research out. But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, I think exactly like what you said, dude, is like use it as a tool. Make sure you're also including the lifestyle changes and then getting enough protein in too, right? So you're not just losing lean body mass in the process. And it can absolutely be a great jump start for people. And I think a lot of people need that mentally to get themselves going like, okay, I can believe in myself. I am doing this. I am seeing progress. And so that'll have me stick to it longer. But yeah, making sure that you're also adopting very gradually at your own pace, the habits that stick for a lifetime are super important. So yeah, that's got to be number one, right? Like that's
It wasn't actually.
no.
It was number
Okay.
3. So we got, just to give you, so we were looking for number 1. We have number 2 is wearables or Apple Watch, Fitbit.
Yep.
Number 3 is Ozempic, GLP medication, GLP-1 medications. Number 4 is
Or resistance training.
equipment, resistance training,
We
stuff
need
like that.
1 and 5.
1 and 5 are left, and they are, this number 1 is when you see what it is, or if you guess it, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that is like it is. Like when we talk about like somebody starting and like you make people do this in their program, in your program, right? Like it's like it's needed, it's a necessary thing, like especially when you don't have any idea like
Oh,
how much.
tracking your food. Yeah, food
Yeah,
tracking like MyFitnessPal or what any of those. Yeah.
exactly. So
We have to. You have to.
it is the best. It's actually number 1 is my fitness pal down.
Yeah.
It's the best one out there. You can use it for free. I found if you buy it, it's actually pretty reasonably priced too, and it allows you to do a few more things like scan barcodes, I believe, and actually track like macros and put in a little bit of different goals. So if you're like really serious about it, and you want a little bit extra things, you could also buy it. I don't think it's very expensive, but you can also just use the free version and have extreme success with it.
Yep. I have a buddy doing it right now. He's asking me, where do I start, man? Like, and it's just a buddy I fish with. And he's like, what should I do? I'm literally having him set a step target. And all I'm having him do is like, dude, just be aware of what you're eating. And in order to do that, just download the free version of MyFitnessPal. And this is maybe a week and some change of him hitting a step target and just being, not even hitting targets with his food, just being aware of it, just going, okay, if I eat this, I'm going to log it. Not even weighing it yet. I'm just having him go like, the accuracy doesn't need to be there. He's like, hey, should I be weighing it? Should I be doing like all these things? I'm like, dude, just show yourself that you can log your food each day. Do that first, and then you can fine tune until you get more accurate as you go. But just practice the skill. And he's already down 4 pounds. He's just trying to hit. All he's trying to do is hit a step target, just logging his food. That's it. So yes, if you want something that's going to move the needle for you, because there's something that happens subconsciously that we don't really talk about. It's like, yeah, at a certain point in your journey, if you're trying to get to somewhere, it's going to help when the higher your accuracy is. So if you're using a food scale, if you're being more diligent in your process, absolutely, there's a place for that in your journey. But if you're just starting out, like, create the awareness alone around what you're consuming if you don't know. And I think that's a light bulb goes off for most people where they're like, oh, damn, when you tell me you're not eating much and then you actually log it and you're almost, over 4,000 calories, and then it like opened your eyes, you're like, oh shit, like that coffee creamer does have calories, or oh shit, the oil that I'm cooking in, those have calories too. Oh man, the drinks that I'm drinking, dang, everything has calories. And you're like, oh yeah. And so it just opened your eyes. And I think people notice, and it subconsciously gets you to make better decisions. And just doing that alone and creating that awareness around, instead of just mindlessly eating throughout the day and saying that you don't really eat that much, and like, you'd be surprised, right? You'd be surprised. You start tallying that stuff up and you're like, holy cow. And so if anything, I think I'm glad it's number one, is because it's so eye-opening for people when they do it. I had my dad do it, and he was like, immediately we saw where he could take out in his day like I think it was like 200 to 400 calories per day, just in the amount of coffee creamer he was using, right? And like, if you just eliminated that, or if you just, and he didn't have to completely eliminate the coffee creamer. Instead of doing like 2, 3, 4, 5 servings of what he was doing, he just did 1 or 2, right? He just cut it down. And that across 7 days, right? Let's say, let's round up and say 500 calories, 500 times 7 is 3,500 calories a week that he's cutting off from his diet. Like, and that's him not changing anything else. That's just that's like one little thing. So when you create that hyper awareness around, I think if you want something that's really going to move the needle for you, just be aware of what you're consuming. What are you putting in the fuel, in the gas tank, and once you see that, like, you'll have some answers. I promise you that.
Oh yeah. No, awareness is the key. That's why the first thing we have our people do that are new into the program is track, right? It's like, steps, workouts, like protein, carbs, fats, calories. Like, it's like just for a little bit of time for us to get an idea and for them to get an idea. Oh, wow. It's like a lot of times people say, I'm eating a lot of protein. They're eating like 50 grams a day, right? It's like, but you have
what's
no
a
idea.
lot? Yeah. What's a lot?
Right. So that's huge. So that's number one. And we got the last one is number 5.
What's a hint?
Hint would be,
do I know what this thing is? Have we talked about it before?
I'll just give it to you because it's going to be tough. Like,
all right.
It's diet protocol. So it's, high protein plans, clean eating, intermittent fasting, like anything that creates a calorie deficit. Right. And, that's kind of obvious in the grand scheme of things. I just don't know if you would have, I don't know a good hint that I would have been able to give you.
I would have went so far that, because I almost think like number 1 is that, right? You can almost combine that one with number 1 and call them kind of like the same thing. They're in the same umbrella.
Yeah, food tracking could be like just tracking your food and creating a calorie deficit that way, right? It's like it doesn't have to be crazy, but I mean that's obvious, right? It's like but I mean it's diet protocols. It's just you got to watch. We've talked about this many times on the podcast and episodes. Just got to find something that's sustainable. Like, we're never going to tell you what to do, but like, find a way of eating that you enjoy and that's sustainable, and you can create a calorie deficit that way. That's why we're always just a fan of like, 80-20, 70-30, like being able to enjoy the foods that you still like, but also like having majority of your foods come from quality sources, nutritious, veggies, proteins, carbs, or like proteins, veggies, fruits, whole grain, like stuff like that. That's going to like make you feel good and help you move towards the goal. It's a lot easier, even for somebody that some people don't even need to necessarily focus on a calorie deficit. Like, it'll be created through moving a little bit more and just focusing on eating quality foods. Cause then your body starts to feel better, but also it's like through eating more quality foods, like you're just not going to be as hungry because you're going to like more protein's going to fill you up a little bit more veggies and fruits are going to be a little more volume. So it's going to make it so you're a little bit more full. And just through doing that, at least at the start for a while, you can see some incredible results. Just like, you know what, I'm going to see where I'm at step wise. Oh, wow, I'm doing 2,000 steps. I'm going to make my goal 3,000 or 4,000 for the day, and then work that way up till you get closer to like, at like 7, 8,000, 9, 10, whatever it is you want to work up to. Just slowly work up there, and then just focus on, it's like, okay, can I like just add a little bit of more protein to my plan? Can I add a little bit more veggies to my plan? And through those two things alone, you can see some incredible results. Kind of like what your buddy's doing right now.
Yeah. You don't, I think people just overcomplicate it. They feel like they have to be too perfect to start something, and then like have to be ideal situations. Like people can start literally after listening to this podcast and be like, you can download MyFitnessPal right now and just start with creating awareness around what you eat in a regular day. That's it. Just like start there. Just be aware of it. I think 99% of people have no idea, or they think they do until they put it on paper or they put it into an app and they're like, oh man, okay, like this starts to make sense now. And yeah, just like you said, by default, it almost becomes a byproduct of you losing weight when you just start to make little small changes, create awareness around what you're consuming, and just eat higher quality foods, naturally higher in protein, naturally higher in fiber. Nobody's going to become severely obese by eating by prioritizing protein, right? Like in eating single ingredient, high quality protein, or prioritizing fiber and fruits and veggies. And it's like, it's extremely difficult to overeat when you eat that stuff. So by default, naturally, as a byproduct, you're just going to eat less, which, by the way, number 5, caloric deficit, right? Like you'll naturally just eat less just by doing that. So if you're somebody who's not big on like doing the whole diligence with tracking and stuff, and you can't get over that hurdle, that's fine. Just increase the quality of your food. Make sure you're eating some high quality protein, some good fiber. Like you're going to lose weight. I promise you. It'll just happen. You just got to be consistent with it, and it'll happen. Anything else, man?
No, just to recap here. So the top 5 most popular fat loss tools of 2025. Number 1, MyFitnessPal. Number 2, the fitness wearables, Apple Watch, Fitbit, Whoop, all those. Number 3, Ozempic, GLP-1 medications. Number 4 is equipment, resistance training, home or gym, that stuff. Diet protocols is number 5. So like, intermittent fasting, high protein plans, tracking your food, stuff like that. So hopefully this one helped you guys out. This was, as always, fun, to get on here to guess these things, but also to give our 2 cents. And, I think there's a lot of great nuggets in here that you guys can take and then use. If anything, like if you're struggling, just like we said, just start small, increase your step count, and just focus on getting a little more protein, a little bit more quality foods, and you'll start to see some results pretty damn quickly. And so if you did enjoy this, all we ask, just share this one with a friend or family member, coworker, or somebody who you think could benefit from it. And then make sure you do subscribe if you aren't, so you don't miss our future Tuesday, Thursday podcast. Thanks again for joining, watching, listening. We appreciate you guys, and hope you have a great rest of the day.